hour. As you know, we move from the reading circle, which kicks off at 6 o'clock a.m. each Saturday morning. We move right on into the M&M hour, and then we move on into the Martha and Friends hour. And as the title of the show suggests, every now and again we have friends who pop by, and a friend has popped by this morning. Those of you know that Church Boy is kind of like, when I don't hear from Church Boy, especially over an extended period of time, I get a little nervous because I think something may have happened. Because most of the time, just about every Saturday, Church Boy checks in on me to make sure everything's going okay. You know, he gives me words of encouragement. He tells me I'm the best principal in the state of New Jersey. He calls me Mr. Principal, and he tells me about all the various concerts and things going on in his area. And he also brings to me guests every now and again, and he's done that this morning. And I have a young lady sitting across from me. Her name is Nekia Fields, and she has her debut single. So let me see. Talk in that mic right there, Nekia. We'll get you going. Nekia, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. So she is with me. She has her debut single. It is called He Can. So I'm going to play that, and then we're going to talk a little bit with Nekia as the morning goes on for a few minutes. And before you know it, Barry will be here, and we'll be up out of here. So I'm going to play her debut single right now. You can say you heard it here first, right here on WP 88.7 FM.
You just can't sing the song by yourself, and you got a habit. You just can't sing a break alone. Got a situation heavy on your soul. Listen here, let me advise you to put your trust in Him. Just oh, I know that Jesus can solve. There's nothing too hard. Oh, just have the faith.
You heard it here first on WP 88.7 FM and GoBrave.org. I was just on my social media site saying we are breaking in a new artist. We are introducing a new artist, and you heard it here first on WP 88.7 FM, and that's Miss Nekia Fields, and the title of the single is He Can. So again, Nekia, good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, there's a couple of reasons why it'd be real easy for me to remember you. One, I have a cousin named Nekia, and two, like I was sharing with you, you and my daughter are about the same age category. You're about 5 years older than my oldest daughter. And both of you remind me of her with the makeup and the eyelashes and the eyebrows on. She's into that same thing. So you remind me of my oldest daughter, Aria. So talk to me a little bit about how long you've been singing.
Well, I've been singing since the age of 6. I started on the church choir. I'm also currently one of the praise team leaders on our praise and worship team at my church, Blessed Tabernacle, where the pastor, Reverend Denise Dance, is pastor and founder. And I just love singing. I love writing. I love music. I love everything about what God has given me.
I know that's right, because, I tell folks all the time on the music end, most of our great singers, particularly African-American, came out of that black church.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got your Aretha Franklins and your Patti LaBelles and your Whitney Houstons
Yes.
and your on down the line. They all, at some point along their journey, was in the church.
Absolutely.
And most of their singing started, like you said, on the choirs and so forth and so on.
Yes.
So you've been singing since you were 6. Did you take any formal lessons or anything, or
No
just kind of doing your thing on the choir?
Actually, I just got a lot of my training on the church choir. I also actually sang with Dale Cicerone in
Okay.
04C, which is also a choir based in New Jersey. I sang with him as well, and I got a lot of training and a lot of teaching under him.
Right.
And I love his ministry. I love their ministry. I just love the people and things of God.
I know that's right. Young lady, because that's a beautiful message in terms of
Yes.
youth.
Absolutely.
Because, the Bible says, serve the Creator in the days of your youth.
Yes.
And a lot of times, many of our young people think, you know what, I'll put that off. I'll get there later on. When I get 50, when I get 75, then I'll turn to God. But sounds like you've been there as a child and you're still there.
Absolutely. I'm still hanging on. And you know what? I'm enjoying the journey. And that's the best decision I've ever made, was to choose God.
So for those
As
of
my
you
source.
in the audience, my young people, my parents that have children listening, hear ye her, hear ye Nekia, because she is speaking of what I'm one as well that never left the church. I've been there in the same church since my mother carried me in her womb, and I am still there. Those of you listening, I'm at the St. Luke Baptist Church in Paterson, New Jersey, where my pastor is Reverend Kenneth D.R. Clayton. And prior to Reverend Clayton, it was Reverend A.M. Tyler. That's the only 2 pastors I've ever had in my entire lifetime, was Reverend Tyler and Reverend Clayton. So I can identify and relate, and I
Yes.
agree with you. That's not saying we're perfect, but at least we have a foundation and we have a base.
Absolutely.
And, I went to, oddly enough, it's interesting. It's ironic enough that I would have you sitting here in front of me this morning as a 30-year-old young lady, and I went to the wake last night of a 28-year-old
Really?
young lady that had died in really bad circumstances.
Oh,
she
my
was gunned
goodness.
down.
Oh,
And
Sad.
it's unfortunately that goes back to that verse in the Bible, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And she was, beautiful young lady. I was telling my wife, I said, that is a pretty girl. And because I'm in education when I'm not doing radio.
yes.
And one of my colleagues who's a principal, she was telling me that she actually had this young lady as a student whenever she was teaching.
Yes.
And she said the girl, even whenever she was a little girl, was always into fights, and she had a father. This is where the parenting thing comes in. She had a father that constantly said, look, you better fight. If you come home and you didn't fight or you lost, I'm going to beat you. And she
Wow.
came up, her entire spirit was always fighting. And now it's resulted in. And
It's
so the
bad
fact that
seeds.
exactly.
Bad seeds.
So last night I'm at the wake of a 28-year-old young lady that could have been you, could have been
Absolutely.
sitting here the same
Yes,
way.
yes.
Different circumstances, but now this morning
Wow.
I'm sitting here with a 30-year-old young
Yes.
lady that has now saying, no, that's the best decision I ever made in my life.
Absolutely. I wouldn't trade it.
So how did you get into the writing? Because this is an original composition.
Wow, this is an original. I wrote it. I co-produced it. I wrote the song. And the one who produced this was Ty Maximus. He's my
Okay.
producer, based in Harlem, New York. And it's just, I just been writing since the age of 18, right before I started my freshman year of college. Right at the beginning, I really started writing, and God started blessing me to write songs. And as I went through certain life's experiences, I would just write according to those experiences. And every time God would give it, I mean, I would get up like 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, late, wee hours of the night.
That's right.
And I would just start writing, and I would reserve those songs. I said, I'll hold on to these and I'll just go in the studio. But as God gave it, I didn't want to miss out. So as soon as he told me what to do, I would just write it down.
I know that's right. Well, they tell people to have a glass of water, a pen, and a pad next to your bed.
Yes.
Keep that there every night, because some of your best ideas might come at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Absolutely.
And this is what most people do. They figure, you know what, I'll tomorrow when I get up, I'll put it down.
Yes.
But what they don't realize is when they go back to sleep, they're probably going to forget it.
Yes.
So you wake up the next morning like, wait a minute, what was it I was thinking about at 3 o'clock?
Yes.
And it's not there. So that's why they say have a glass of water,
Absolutely.
a pen and paper there, so you can put
You
it
have
down
to jump
right
on
there.
it.
Right,
You have to
exactly.
jump on it.
It when it's there. If you've just joined us, we are in the Martha and Friends Hour. My special guest in this hour is Nekia Fields, and we are talking about her debut single, He Can. I'm going to play it again prior to us leaving. Might be a couple more times before we go so that you can hear it, and she can tell you how you'll be able to get a copy of it. I'm going to put the disclaimer up front, and those of you, if you're listening to me for any amount of time, we're in a couple of different studios here, and in one studio, two of the CD players are extremely sensitive. And when I say extremely sensitive, I mean extreme. There are CDs I can play in the other studio that will not get one skip, that I will put in these same players here, and it'll pick up the tiniest.
Yes.
So if you hear a little skip, it's not her CD, it's not her, it's the actual CD player, because it is extremely sensitive. When I mean the tiniest molecule, the tiniest speck of dust, it picks up on. So when I put it in the other studio, and maybe before we go, maybe I'll put it in, I don't know, we'll see, because logistically it's just easier for us to sit here.
Yes.
But I am having a wonderful time chatting with this young lady that reminds me of my oldest daughter. And it once again shows what you can do if you keep your mind to it, you stay focused. And Nekia, this is part of the problem with God and religion and youth. A lot of young people think, well, I can't do it. If I'm with God, or if I'm in the church, or if I'm a Christian, or if I'm this, that, and the other, then I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this.
Absolutely.
So they think that by being a Christian or being with God, that that's restricting them.
Absolutely not. God is, I would say, a gentleman. He doesn't force himself on anybody. He gives us the chance to choose, and the Bible said, choose ye this day who you will serve. You're either going to serve God or you're going to serve Baal. I believe when you choose God, you're really not bound. You're free. You're not bound to sin, but you're free from sin. And I believe, once you conform your way to the ways of God, God will begin to take out those sinful things that you said you couldn't do. Because the things that you can't do, that you say you can't do, once you really get God on the inside, you'll no longer have a taste for those things.
You won't want to do it anyway. And not to mention, in this day and time, in 2015, a lot of these things that you think you want to do that's fun is like you just heard me talking about. It's going to cost you your life.
Absolutely.
A lot of these things that you think is fun. I mean, even when I was your age, no, younger than yours, when I was in my teens and 20s, there was things I could do then.
Yes.
That you can't do now.
Right now, no.
There was all this shooting and killing
Yes.
was not going on in the 70s and 80s, not to this degree. I'm not
Yes.
saying no one ever got shot. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is to the degree that it is now. I read
Absolutely.
when this young lady that I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, when they wrote the story in the newspaper, they referenced the fact that last year, Paterson, New Jersey had the highest amount of homicides in her history. We had 25 people killed last year. This young lady happened to be the first that was killed in 2015.
Really?
But last year, in 2014, Paterson, New Jersey had 25 homicides.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm saying all that to say that was not going on when I was a teen. If I went out to a club or a bar or this, that, and the other, we wasn't worried about if I stepped on somebody's toe, I was going to get shot.
Right.
That wasn't. But in today's times,
It's different.
It is very different. All right.
Just different.
In all honesty, I wouldn't trade
Not
my
the same.
childhood time for the childhood time coming up with the kids now for nobody's money.
Absolutely
I really
not.
wouldn't. But
Yes.
at the same point, when you have God, when you have that protective
Yes.
covering,
Yes.
when you have that fence all around
I
you,
concur. Yes.
it makes a difference.
Absolutely.
It does. If you've just joined us, my guest this morning is Nekia Fields. We're going to share some information with you, but you know the drill. Get on all your social media sites. Tell somebody to tune in to gobrave.org so that they can hear the discussion with Nekia as well as to hear her debut single, He Can.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This year, firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall will battle wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But firefighters can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile, or it can ignite and destroy your home and community.
Get fire adapted. Learn simple steps you can take now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
All right, you are in the Martha and Friends Hour, and not only am I playing the music this hour, but I have a live guest. She actually took the time to get up this morning and drive into the studio. And if I remember, Church told me you were coming out of Roselle?
I was coming out of Irvington, New
Irvington,
Jersey.
okay.
That was my old residence.
All right. Well,
Yes.
either way, you came up the Parkway
Absolutely.
early in the morning.
Absolutely.
She
Yes,
could have
no
called
problem.
us. Yes, she could have called in because I told her. I said, well, you know, they can call Energy and Wonder. He said, no, she wants to come into the studio. I said, that's fine, too. That's even better because you
Yes.
get, I mean, I get energy on the telephone lines, but whenever you come live into the studio, that's a whole different, that's
Yes,
another level because
yes.
we're here, we're talking to
Yes,
each other, all right?
yes.
So hold it. So she actually rose early on a Saturday morning and got on the highway, found her way up here, actually was waiting around the university, gave me a call, and I was able to kind of talk her in, and she was here. I mean, she
Yes.
pressed and made her way.
Yes.
And again, that's exactly what you ought to do in life, period. But certainly if you're an artist, that's what you're going to have to do as you want to get the word out there about
It's a
your work.
requirement.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because I mean, at 6 o'clock on each Saturday morning, I interview authors. And they're doing the same thing. They're trying to get their books out there.
Yes, yes.
And so a lot of my guests actually call in from California. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning their time, 6 o'clock
Really?
our time. But they're doing what they need to do.
And that's what you're supposed to do. If you don't promote yourself, who will? It begins with you.
That's right. That's
And-
right. And if you're going to be in this line of work or in this business, you've
Yes.
got to be willing to get up early, stay up late, all night,
have to.
because it's not for the slothful.
No, you have to be on it. You really do.
You
If
really
you
do.
want something bad enough, guess what? It's what it does. Your dream is not someone else's dream.
That's right.
I can't expect someone else to love my dream and support my dream more than I'm willing to support, because what you make happen for yourself, God will place people in your life to help you make it happen.
That's right. And see, again, young people listening, this is not some 70-year-old saying that. There's nothing wrong with being 70. I'm heading that way. But this is not a 70 or 75 or 80, 85. This is not some old fuddy-duddy saying it. This is somebody in your age group. This is somebody in your age group that is going out there with the ambition, with the persistence, with everything that it needs, the perseverance to make it happen. Because it's not going to happen sitting on the couch playing video games. It's not going to sit there happen on the couch watching cable, watching Housewives of Atlanta, watching. It's not going to happen that way. It's just not.
No.
You're going to have to get up off your behind and you're going to have to get out there and hustle. All right. And I'm talking good hustle. I ain't talking bad hustle. I'm talking good hustle. So I tell you what, I'm going to play her CD again. And like I said, because I want you to hear it, because we want you to download it. She's on iTunes. She was sharing that with me while we were off the air. She's on iTunes. You can find her in various websites. I'm sure probably if you Google her, she's there. But before she's gone, we'll give you all the information. But her debut CD, her debut single is He Can. And the he she's talking about is not some brother off the street.
Absolutely, because they couldn't. I tried them, but they couldn't.
And the he she's talking about, she ain't talking about Ray Ray and Pookie and Jimbo, and she ain't talking about that he. We have fun here at the studio. We do. I love to laugh.
I love it.
play.
I love it. Laughter is good medicine.
It really
Yes.
is. So I'm going to play He Can again. And then again, don't feel bad if we play it, because this is the single, this is the debut. She said there is more on the way. This is to whet your appetite for whenever she does the full-blown version of 8, 9, 10, 12 tracks or what have you. Text somebody and let them know you on gobrave.org. I see you got your phone there. Tell them, hey, I'm on the radio. Get on your computer and go to gobrave.org.
Just can't sing this song by yourself, and you got a habit. You just can't sing a break alone. Got a situation heavy on your soul in here. Let me advise you to put your trust in him. Just give him your problems. Oh, I know that Jesus can solve. There's nothing too hard. Oh, just have the faith. And I'll make it okay if you and know that Jesus can solve. There's nothing too hard for Jesus. Just have the faith that he can do it. Oh, if he can.
right. That is Nekia's debut single, He Can. Big shout outs to Fenda. Fenda called me while we were off the air, while the music was on, said he is listening, and he heard Nekia, said she's sounding good. So Fenda, good morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling in. I'm going to share some information with the listening audience real quick. Get on all your social media sites, because I've been doing it. Each time I turn off the mic button, I turn around here to my Hootsuite, which sends everything out to all my various social networks, and I'm letting them know, tune in so they can hear this young lady who's filled with wisdom. She's only 30 years old, and I know for like somebody that's 30 years old, but I mean, that's a 10-year-old. I mean, he's but for those of you that are like 18, 22, 25, heading into 30, that's not, she's in your age range and she speaks the truth. So that way you're not hearing it from a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old. This is somebody that's in your age category, and that's so important, because I know a lot of you all think, well, I'll just wait till I get like 70 and then I'll think about God. You may not get there.
Right.
That's what you need to understand. You may not get there. So serve the Creator while you can in the days of your youth, because we don't want to get to that situation where you get up there and he says, depart from me. Or he gets up there and say, well, you know what, you ignored me, so I'm going to ignore you.
That's
and
right.
know you don't want to get caught up in that situation. Matter of fact, I know Fender and Church Boy, both of them got songs about not going to hell. Don't want to go to hell. I know Church Boy got one to say, I don't want to go to hell. And I know Fender has one dealing with hell as well. That's not where you want to wind up. So this is a young lady that's young. She says she's been doing that her entire youth. Is not something that just happened. She's been doing it, from a little girl on up. So listen to her, because you never know how or what message God is sending through her being here conducting this interview. I'm going to share this information with you. Let somebody know to tune in to gobrave.org. They can still post on all their social sites while they listen. Tune in to gobrave.org, turn on your speakers, and you can go back into the other tabs and do whatever it is you're doing, but have the opportunity to listen to Nekia as well.
There are many reasons and many people who need prescription medications. These same drugs that ease suffering for some are abused by others. When abused, these drugs can have some really scary side effects and even cause death. Prescription drug abuse among college students is a growing trend, which often includes combining prescription drugs, like opiates, with alcohol and other substances. The non-medical use of prescription medications is a close second only to marijuana as the most common form of illicit drug use. Combining alcohol and opiates enhances the sedative effects of these drugs, increasing the risk of death from overdose. Prescribed does not mean safe. Don't share. Use correctly, store securely, dispose responsibly. To learn more about the use and abuse of prescription medications, contact Marianne Edmond, health educator at edmondm1@wpu.edu. If you think you have a problem with prescription medications and need to talk, contact the Counseling Center at 2257. This message was made possible through a grant from the New Jersey Department of Human Services, Division of Addiction Services.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Listen to Brave New Radio on your smartphone with TuneIn Radio.
911 emergency. Help. Calm down. Can you do me one favor, sir? Yeah. What's the name of that song that's playing?
What? Ever wanted to know what those songs are on the radio? Visit twitter.com/Brave New Radio and keep you updated. Right here on 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Yes, you're listening to Brave New Radio. We go where other radio stations either can't go or refuse to go or are scared to go. So that's why we have the slogan Brave New Radio. And I have a guest sitting right across from me, Miss Nekia Fields, and we've introduced her single, and we'll play it again before she leaves again. And the title of it is He Can. And we were talking earlier, Nekia was sharing with me how she's been writing since she was little. Were you always writing songs, or was it poetry, or was it journal writing, or all of the above? Or
it was always songs. That's always what I've always had at heart to do, was to write songs. Even with the memories, either good or bad memories in my life, I remember them by a song. Like when a certain song played, maybe if it was an event that happened in 1990 and it was like Whitney Houston singing The Greatest Love of All, it would remind me of a good event that I had. I said, okay, I remember that by the songs. So songs have really been my guide. They've been my heart. They've been my soul. And that's really what God put in me. And that's what I'm here to do.
Now, how do other young people, because interestingly enough, Fenda and that whole group, when they were here, Fenda, if you're listening, you would remember this because I'm asking Nekia the same question, Nekia rather the same question. How do other young people, either a little bit younger than you or around your age bracket, how do they respond to you? Are they kind of like, oh no, here come Nekia, that church girl again, or is it, oh God, I don't want to hear this again, or because again, in my mind, you all are like role models. You're like the ambassadors for young people.
Absolutely.
Right? Because this way we know all the old that act like and pretend like they ain't never done anything. We know they're sitting up in church. But I'm talking when you see a young person now that comes through, how do they respond to you?
I think, like you said, I would say a role model or, someone that I think, look up to. I mean, I'm just Nekia. I don't try to be more. I don't try to be less. I'm just myself, and I'm comfortable in the skin I am in. So I guess the way they view me, as someone who's a great role model, I would say, someone to look up to, someone who's actually a spiritual role model. I'm not perfect. But, by your fruits, you're going to know them. So if you bear the fruits of the Spirit, people will know that. And you have to let your light so shine. So I think because my light is shining and I refuse to let the enemy make it dim, I think that does, show other young people that they can make it, to be encouraged. They may not know about being saved and being sanctified. Us church folks are filled with the Holy Ghost. But I think it's something different that separates me from the rest. When you're called out by God, people may not always can identify it, but they can see that it's something different.
Absolutely. That's right. And I'm glad you said that, because you're right in terms of people won't know, but we should live in such a way that they will want to know. Like, wait a minute, there's something different about you, Nekia. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. That's a wonderful opportunity now to witness.
Yes.
Wonderful opportunity to share. Well, since you ask, let me tell you.
Right. An open door.
Open door, right. This is your opportunity to now say, well, it really is not about me. It's not the me. It's the Jesus in me. It's the God in me. It's the, had it not been for him, had it not been for God, for the grace of God, there go I.
Yes.
I mean, that's so, like you said, we ain't none of us perfect. I can tell you right now, I've been walking the walk a long time and nowhere close to perfect.
No, I can tell you no.
And so, but at the same time, you kind of know, like you said earlier, and I said it last week when I was at the church, it's not that we're not going to sin. The hope is that you sin less.
Yes.
Like each day you sin less. You're not going to be sinless, but you hope to sin less.
And we have to hide the word in our hearts that we might not that we will not. That's right. That we might. Meaning it's a possibility that we might sin.
That's right.
But even if we do, we have an advocate with the Father to go ask for forgiveness. If we were all perfect, it would be no need the spirituality. It would be no need for Jesus.
Correct.
Then his coming would be in vain.
Right.
But look, we all need him.
And see, that's why I was laughing and saying it tongue in cheek and teasingly. But a lot of young people do get turned off from church because the older saints sit there and pretend like they've never done anything.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
They sit there in their black suits and white dresses and their little funny hats on and their doilies across their legs and this, that, and the other. And they pretend and act as if I've been perfect all my days. I've never done anything. And so the kids be like, well, I can never live up to that, so why bother?
No, unless they come out and tell them.
Right. Or the older saints are very judgmental.
Yes.
Again, acting as if and pretending as if they've never done anything. Now, because I know my pastor is very transparent. I mean, when I talk about raw, and he will tell you straight up. Like, he can remember how, like, if the teenager young lady would get pregnant or something like that, how the older women would just down them and this, that, and the other.
Just throw them under the bus.
And so. They would because he was young at the time when he took over the church, he was like 26, 27 years old. And like the older ones, just first off, they had a problem with that. But in any event, they were like, when the young girl got pregnant, you got to stand her up in front of the church and make her apologize. So his thing was like, well, I tell you what, I'll make her get up there and apologize if I make you get up here and apologize too. So at that point, it stopped.
They had an ultimatum.
That request stopped.
Yes.
But the other thing he would say is, you know what, the same older ones that's down on these young girls, when we start matching up the birth dates and the wedding dates, They're not lining up here.
No.
The birth date is older than the wedding date.
Yes.
So come on now. You sitting here pretending to be this, that, and the other. Let's be real.
That's right.
Baby, I've been there, done that. You're going to get through it.
Yes.
Now, that was a mistake, or, even if it wasn't a mistake, you're going to learn from it and not do that again.
Right.
But you're not going to sit there and play that, oh, I ain't never done nothing role.
Well, you can't win people over like that.
No, you can't.
Playing perfect. Even Christ, he was perfect. He was the only perfect one that walked this earth. But even with loving kindness, you have to draw people. You can't draw them sitting there stoic and saying, oh, well, I've never done anything, as you had just stated. But you have to be transparent, because your testimony, what you've been through. Correct. That's why you went through the testimony. You got to pull other people in.
Absolutely. And again, if you've just joined us, this is WP88.7 FM. This is GoBrave.org. And my guest is Nekia Fields, and we are talking about her debut single. And right now we probably have Gloria Hallelujah calling in. I think that's probably her. I hope it is, because I'm going to go straight to her on the air. It's about that time. Gloria, how you doing?
Pretty good, and you?
Good. I'm doing well.
Can you hear me real good?
I can hear you real good. You're coming through loud and clear.
Good.
So I tell you what, I have a guest here in the studio, so if you can do an abbreviated version of what's going on, I would appreciate it, only because I don't want to cut into her time, especially since she took the time to drive up here. So let us know what's going on in the... Matter of fact, you may know this young lady. Her name is Nekia Fields.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay. So, Nekia, I don't know, you may know Gloria. Gloria, hallelujah.
Yes, I do.
Oh, she doesn't... Well, y'all can talk to each other. You can say hello to each other. She can
Hello.
Hi, Nekia.
Hi, how are you, Miss Gloria?
Pretty good.
Good.
What's going on with you today?
Well, I'm sitting here in the studio with my brother. I'm discussing my debut single, He Can. The Lord blessed me to come out with my single, and I'm just having a good time in the studio.
Praise the Lord. Well, good to hear from you. I
know that's right.
So well.
Yes, it's good to hear from you.
You going to be up here tonight somewhere?
Actually, no, I don't have any plans for tonight.
All righty. I wish I had something going on. I certainly would invite you.
Oh, well, thank you. I know you would.
Yeah.
So, Gloria, speaking of inviting, what's going on? Do you invite the rest of the listening audience to the things that are going on? Talk to me about Gloria does this is her service she provides for me each week about this time. She lets everybody know what's going on in the gospel community. So, Gloria, what's going on?
Okay, well, we like to send our condolence out to the Solomon Temple Church right here in Patterson, New Jersey, on Hamilton and Straight Street.
Yes, and Reverend Maxwell.
Yeah.
Yes.
They will be having his funeral tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So we're asking everybody to come out and give their sympathy to the family and to the church tomorrow at 5 o'clock. That's on the Straight Street and Hamilton Avenue. So that church is right there. That's Solomon Temple. I don't know the address of it, but right there on that corner, that's where the church is, on Hamilton Avenue and Straight Street. Amen. So 5 o'clock. So we ask everybody to come out and send their love to the family and everything. We need support when that time comes around. And also, too, January 18th, that's going to be at GNS Production. That's going to be at 4 o'clock, and that's in Jersey City. They're having the Stevens Singers. They're having the honoring guests there. That's the Supreme Angels out of Philadelphia. And the Daniel family, the Imperial Gospelettes, the Gospel Sons, the Cherubim, and also, too, the Wings of Joy, and Reverend Dennis Wiley. And that's going to be tomorrow. That's the GNS Production at 413 Ocean Avenue. And that's the Church Hall. That's 413 Ocean Avenue in Jersey City. Amen? And that's at 4 o'clock. And we ask you to please come by and support that, too. And the February 8th, the Youth Gospel Program, that's going to be at 4 p.m. And also, too, that's at the same place, GNS Production. They're going to have a Reverend Scott. This is going to be the youth production now. This is going to be for all the youth people who would like to come in and join with them. The little Golden Lights out of Jersey City, little JJ and the Spiritual Boys, Phase 2, they're going to be there. They're going to have the Sisters of Grace and Reverend Scott the Third and the Sons of Promises of Philadelphia. I'm just going to give you those little brief ones, and I'll get back with you with more information. of every other programs after next week, okay?
All right, Gloria, we appreciate it. And I'm having a good time here in the studio with Nekia, so I'm glad you all know each other.
All right, Gloria.
Don't give up. You keep on going.
Oh, no. That's not my intentions.
All righty.
All right.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, as you can see, Nekia, we have a lively time here on Saturday mornings. We really do. And so let all your friends and family know. We're here on Saturday mornings between 7 and 9 usually, unless I extend the interview. We put on the gospel music.
Yes.
So now that I have your CD, I will put it into the rotation.
Very nice.
We'll be playing that on Saturday mornings, all right?
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Very quickly, I'm going to share a little bit more information with the audience, and then before you know it, Barry be here. We'll be out by 9 o'clock. Boy, that time flies. 3 hours go quickly up here.
It does.
It really does. And we've been on only an hour, and this is my third hour, but it goes by fast.
Wow.
Hi, my name is Stan Myers, and I'm here at FM 88.7. I do a jazz show called Just a Mood. And if you like the music, anything from Louis to Lester Boyd, I'm your man. That's Sunday afternoons, 3 to 6. Looking to hear from you, okay?
Want to expand your horizons? Want to broaden your mind? Well, listen to the only show of its kind. Listen to the Reading Circle.
We bring you what's going on in the world of reading, in the world of books. Sometimes the book may be from 20, 30 years ago, because the thing about books, they are timeless, particularly if there's a good message. And then there are times when we do books that are hot off the press, that were just released.
Listen to the Reading Circle every Saturday morning from 6 a.m.
The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley.
Only on WP 88.7 FM.
That's right. Listen to the Reading Circles each Saturday morning. We kick off at 6 o'clock a.m., followed by the M&M Hour, followed by Martha and Friends, of which we are in right now, and a friend is in the studio with me. While I have you here, high school dropouts earn 42% less than graduates. 42%. If you graduated, you might know how much that is. Stay in school. Give yourself a chance. Go to operationgraduation.com, sponsored by the U.S. Army, the Ad Council, and your friends right here at WP 88.7 FM. Quitting smoking is not easy, but EX can help you succeed this time. Whether it's your first try to quit or your 10th, relearn life without cigarettes. Free at becomeanex.org. Again, brought to you by EX, the Ad Council, and your friends right here at WP 88.7 FM. And lastly, saving money today is like getting a gift for your future self. What do you want to buy in the future? Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Ad Council, and your friends right here at WP 88.7 FM. One last time, we're going to play He Can, and then Barry sounds like he's knocking at the door. He will be on with the Naked Brunch.
So you got a problem, you just can't sing the song by yourself, and you got a habit, you just can't sing a break alone. Got a situation heavy on your soul. Listen here, let me advise you to put your trust in him. Just give him your problem. Oh, I know that Jesus can solve. There's nothing too hard. Oh, just have the faith that he can do. Oh, just give him your problem. Oh, I know that Jesus can solve. Nothing too hard for Jesus. Oh, just have the faith that he can do. I know he can work it out. Oh, he can. He can. Oh, just trust God. Oh, trust him. Oh, he can. Sometimes up and sometimes you're down, but feeling like the enemy's meeting you around. Don't give up, day is on the way. Give all your problems to Jesus, and he'll make it okay if you allow
You're listening to the person that's actually sitting here in the studio with me, and that is Miss Nekia Fields. This is her debut CD, He Can. It sounds good. I mean, we were talking off the air about whenever you're in the studio. For those of you, if you're not musicians, you may or may not be able to relate to it. But there's a certain feeling with going into the studio, putting on the headphones, standing in front of a microphone, and just letting it go. Because there are times whenever I have the studio mic off, and I'm singing along with a song, and I can get that feeling. So I can imagine what a Michael Jackson or a Luther Vandross or a Whitney Houston or whoever, I can imagine what they felt like in a studio laying down their tracks.
Absolutely, yes.
So what was it like for you whenever, this is one of the questions I do ask most of my guests. And, when this was done, I mean, you got your picture here on here. It's Nekia Fields, got your name, says He Can. What was it like for you to get this in your hand?
It was like a dream come true, because that's something I've always wanted to do. It was just the beginning of greatness to me. I felt like, I'm right where God needs me to be. I just felt good about it. I felt like a real musician because I had everything put together. I mean, I felt like I was doing what I was here to do. Right. And I felt special. All
right. Now, when did it release? It just came out?
I released that in November of 2014.
So it's a couple of months old.
Absolutely.
And it's on iTunes, and I'm sure you have these in the trunk of your car and everywhere you go.
Oh, yes, I do. I have plenty. I have an influx, a plethora of CDs.
Nekia and I actually traded CDs. I'll tell you what, she gave me a copy of hers. I gave her a copy of mine. So we traded. We did like the old baseball card thing. We traded each other. But it is a wonderful field to be in. You're spreading the word. A lot of times, two things. One, our lifestyles, the only Bible that some may see is us. Right. That's the first thing, because they're not going to pick up that old black book. So sometimes the only Bible people will see is us. Secondly, music has a way of doing things that sometimes just reading or talking won't do. Yes. So someone may now hear your song. They may hear He Can and say, I never thought about it that way, but I'm hearing this tune by Nekia Fields, and that's doing something to me.
Yes.
Music can do that. So that's wonderful that you have the opportunity to reach the masses.
Yes, thank God.
With song.
Absolutely, that's great.
Right?
I love it.
And
I love it.
So while she has the one single here, the He Can, this is just the first. And because, again, if you know anything about music or musicians, a lot of times we roll out the first one first.
Yes.
Get it going, get your appetite wet.
That's
the
right.
expectation for the other 8 or 9 or 10 tracks that's going to be on the full-blown CD.
Oh, yes.
And
can't
So
wait.
there you
can't wait. I can't wait. I can't.
I know the feeling. I can relate. I know the feeling. Whenever I got my first CD was Go Up on the Third Limb, jazz CD, and the second CD was The Wrinkle Rag. And people have been asking, when is your third project coming out? And I said, I just have not been sitting at the keyboard. I thought I was going to do it over the Christmas break, at least get 1 or 2 tracks down. Yes. Didn't. And so now it's kind of like for me, whenever this inspiration hits.
Yes.
On one of the tracks on there is called Vacuuming the Floor. You know the title on this, and that came because I was sitting down in my office, just like I'm sitting in here. My wife was vacuuming upstairs, and I could hear the tone and the rhythm and the hum of the vacuum cleaner.
And you know what?
And I was sitting down there right by my keyboard, and I started playing along with the vacuum cleaner. So that's how that song was titled,
Marc
Vacuuming
Medley.
the Floor.
Your last name, Medley.
Yes, and that's my real name.
You're living up to your last name. You already predestined to do that.
Yes, people thought, because I played, just like you, sung for choirs, I'm singing choirs. Yes. I played for choirs for like 30 years.
Nice.
I was playing for choirs when I started playing for choirs. I started playing in the Sunday school when I was 10. And I started playing my first choir when I was 14, and I did that till about 44 or so before I retired, that piece of it. But for 30 years, I played for various choirs, various age groups, and then I finally just laid down some tracks to do my own thing on the jazz side.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But you're absolutely right. And people used to ask me, is that your real name or your stage name? No, that's my real name. Then people would call me Mr. Melody, Melody. Like, no, it's not. Close. Right. It's not Melody, it's Medley. But they would, is that just, no, that's my real name. So you're right. I am walking into my predetermined destiny in terms of the name.
Yes.
But enjoy it. I truly enjoy yours. And like I said, I'm going to add it to the rotation.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much for rising early to come join us this morning. I will thank Church Boy, because I know he's going to be calling and wanting to know how did it go. Because I told Church called me this morning. I had an interview on there. I had a person I was interviewing. So the phone was just ringing. It was just ringing. So finally, whenever the interview got off and I picked up the phone, he was like, "Oh, Mr. Principal, I just wanted to make sure you here." I said, "Church, I know you ain't listening, because if you were listening, you would have known I had somebody on the air with me." He said, "I'm at work." I said, "Okay." I said, "All right, I'll give you that. You at work, so I'll give you that." But we're down to the last couple minutes of the show. I'm going to turn the mic over shortly to Barry with the Naked Brunch. But those of you in the listening audience, you know I always leave you with this. And before I do that, Nekia, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming and had a blast.
Thank you. Likewise.
Real fun. But as I leave the listening audience, always, may you live as long as you want and not want as long as you live. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day, regardless of who you are or who you are not, doesn't matter what title you hold, doesn't matter what gender you are, doesn't matter what race you are, death is the equalizer. No one even knows who they're going to be laying next to in the cemetery. So you may hate a particular race or gender in life and be laying next to that same gender, race, ethnicity in the cemetery or in the crematorium. So you don't even got to know. My father is buried next to a Ridley. So it has the headstone Medley, M-E-D-L-E-Y, and right next to it is Ridley. Never met Mr. Ridley in his life, but that's who he's. So
it's true.
You're right. There is no need showing all this hatred and all this stuff on this side, because you do not get that option, and that is the equalizer. So whatever it is you want to get it done. My guest in the 6 o'clock hour was May K. Beeler, full of energy, and my guest this morning in this hour is Nekia Fields, full of energy. So I hope that you all can feel the energy over the airwaves as Barry's about to take over in about 5 minutes, depending on which clock you look at. I got one says 8:57, one says 8:55. So he's got somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes. So in that time, I'll go ahead and once again, I'll play He Can for you. All right. So you can't say you did not hear this CD. Oh, excuse me. See the ABC. I ain't hit the cough button. There you go. There's a cough.
It's all right.
You all take care. Have a wonderfully blessed week. And remember, He can.
You just can't sing a praise.